Welcome to the Community Collective podcast. I'm Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent, and I've partnered with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce to bring you the stories that shape our local communities. In our third season, our focus is about connecting, learning, and celebrating the voices that make our communities unique. Join us during this third season as we engage in thoughtful conversations and insightful moments. This podcast is commercial-free and supported by both myself, my co-host, and our guests. We would be so appreciative if you could like, share, and subscribe as we continue having conversations that matter, and cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen.
Good morning and welcome to a brand new episode of the Community Collective podcast. I am Travis Howe, the Executive Director of the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. My co-host, the OG flip-flop agent, is out showing some houses today, so I will miss having him, but I am really looking forward to talking with our guest today. It's someone that we've been following on social media just because it's a very fascinating and interesting industry that I myself don't know a whole lot about. Chase Berta, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, I will say I know when we kind of originally talked a while back, I started following your racing career on social media, and I'm just so fascinated to see you guys either working on the car or seeing how a race goes, or just kind of those little updates. So it's very interesting to just see that. So I'm glad you are out there and you and your family are sharing all your new adventures in your racing career.
Yeah, and with racing too now, over the last few years, social media have been it's been a big factor into it. And just pretty often or a couple days a week is just really important now. And yeah, it's cool just to kind of just say what we're doing and let people know. And yeah, it's just what we try to do is kind of post and update the people the best we can.
But yeah, I feel like it's a great avenue for your fans to follow you, but then also new to the sport like myself, just to start learning a little bit about it. So no, it is. I like it. Chase, you have a really interesting background. You started your racing career at just 6 years old and have been evolving into a championship winning driver. What pivotal moments in your early career do you believe set the foundation for your success in racing?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest thing was racing quarter midgets. It was the thing I got started in. It was the first thing I ever raced. I mean, it was very competitive. The quarter midgets were, and we were at a national or like the top tier of the quarter midgets, like running nationally all over the place. It was super competitive, and we raced with the best of the best. And a lot of NASCAR drivers raced quarter midgets in their younger days. It's just we're trying to match their footsteps. But yeah, quarter midgets, you just learn so much. You meet a lot of people. And I think that's just been probably the biggest thing in my career to help me. And just anytime I get in a race car, I think that's important to me. And I just try to learn anything I can and adapt from it.
Yeah. So are you seeing, this is what I'm curious about, for some of the individuals you raced against in that race in the quarter midgets racing circuit, are you still racing against some of those individuals now?
Yeah, and a lot of the people, like, as I was coming in and coming out, a lot of them people have really success in racing in NASCAR. Carson Hostbar, he's from Portage, Michigan, the west side. This is his first year full time in the NASCAR series. And he was, as I was coming in, it was his last few years, so I kind of saw him race what I raced. But yeah, it's just kind of cool to see people race quarter midgets and then make it to the next step. And it's good for people like me and my age group, or even people that are racing quarter midgets now, to kind of just look up to them and just look at and see what they did and try to match it or do better.
I imagine that's probably kind of creating those friendships, but also kind of probably fun like rivalries that are going on. Is that you guys have grown up together in different race circuits. become friends, but then also you can have that fun competitive atmosphere with each other, I'm sure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So throughout your career, Chase, you faced and have overcome numerous challenges. Can you share a particular challenging moment and maybe how it propelled your growth both on and off the track?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their challenges in all their sports or hobbies or jobs or anything they do. And with us, I mean, we've had definitely our setbacks. We had a bad wreck in Bristol, I think it was in 2019, where we totally destroyed the car and hurt or bruised my leg and stuff. But after that, we junked the car, so we didn't have really a car to run that year for the dirt because we run like asphalt and dirt, and that was our dirt car that year. So I say running or that year kind of hurt us, just running that whole year without running that other car and just really not running as much. Or actually, the following year too was just a whole bad year. We blew, probably went through 3 or 4 motors and just had a terrible year. And I felt like just after that, we kind of just put together a better group and just kind of worked harder at it. And now I feel where we are a lot better. And I feel like we are one of them top tier teams coming to the racetrack. And it's all because we had them bad days and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for people that are listening that might be kind of new to this idea, when something goes on with your car, so you crash it or the engine, goes bad in it or anything like that, who is fixing it? Who are you working with to get it back up and running or finding that new car and building it from scratch? Who are you doing this with or do you have a team that helps you?
Yeah, I mean, at the track, we have my crew chief, Gordon. Josh is a handler, Billy, our tire guy, and just my dad, and a ton of other guys that kind of just come around and help at the track. And then at home, it's really just me and my dad. We kind of, or we do whatever we can really on the car, and then the body damage or if something like chassis bent or something, it gets sent to the chassis builder, which is in Muskegon on the other side of the state. They help us a ton, and like if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be as good. Um, but yeah, they help us a lot. And then our engines, they're Dwayne McGonigal, and I think, or it's Muncie, Indiana. That's where he's out of. But yeah.
Wow, it is. There's so much more into it than yeah, just me taking my car, up to the local mechanic to work on it. I mean, you are like you mentioned, you're racing on asphalt and dirt. So what's the difference in kind of the style of car or tires or like what makes it so unique between them other than the surface?
Yeah, our cars are like whatever are they're both late models. One's just for dirt and one's for asphalt. They have the same name, but they are completely different. The tires on dirt are a 14-inch tire, and the pavement ones are, I believe, 8, but it could be 10. So that tires a pretty big difference. Like the dirt late model, just looking at them, they look pretty huge. But yeah, and just even like the motor and everything, those are different. And just the dirt too. That's the biggest thing is you're turning right to go left on dirt, and on pavement, you're just turning left all the way around. The dirt car is definitely a lot of fun. I personally like the dirt car more just because I don't know, it's fun just driving around the track and slinging it around, and that's just my type of racing.
Yeah. And I'm sure I mean, to me as a new person learning, I'm sure it's very fascinating to watch the difference of those. So now is it where you're still using your same car, you're just really switching out the tires based on that? I mean, obviously there's a different driving style and method based on that, but it's still the same car, but just kind of different tires that you're using.
It is a different car.
Oh,
It's a different kind of car, and if you looked at a picture, you could tell which ones, or you can tell there's a difference between the two. It's just more, I think you could just tell really by the bodies because they're both like aerodynamic for what they're doing. So the dirt car is more aero ready for a dirt track, and the pavement car is more for a pavement track. And just like underneath the car, like the suspension and all that stuff too is just all completely different. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. That
yeah,
is, I've learned so many new things already just
yeah,
from understanding the difference of them all, which is great. And I think that is, I think a lot of people out there maybe have seen, races on TV or on social media. And some of them, I think, will definitely understand what you're talking about. But then so many new people that are listening today will be educating themselves, just like myself. So I appreciate you taking that little bit of time just kind of explain more about those.
yeah. And a lot of or some people like don't really know all that, so try to explain it like the best I can with trying to give a little bit more detail.
Okay. Yeah. So, Chase, looking over a little bit of your career, I noticed that winning the Pro Late Model 100 lapper at Winchester 400 weekend capped off a dream season for you. How did this victory feel compared to your other wins? And what does it symbolize for you personally and professionally?
Yeah, it was really a big win. I had a lot of family and friends out there. It was the last race of our series we were running. It was the Jegs All Star 2. It was the last race. We had the championship locked up, already headed into it. So had to have everybody there for that. And just to be able to win the race really just capped it all off and just really made that night so much better. The just the next morning, it just felt good after a good night of racing, after winning that and the championship, and just that whole night being around the whole team and the whole family and all the friends and just everybody. It just made the weekend a lot better and just yeah.
Yeah. So now winning a race like that, is there a fun tradition that racers, when they win something like that, do to celebrate? Or do you have a tradition that you and your family like to do when you get a win?
Yeah, no, I we really don't. Or I guess the or the Masters of the Pros, it was at Owasso this year. If you won that, you got like a green jacket, like the Masters.
Yeah.
We actually won that this year. That was a pretty big win, and I got to wear the green jacket. But we really don't have really anything set in stone or tradition on what we do. I mean, whenever we win, my parents and the crew and all the older people, I guess they end up somewhere, like at a bar or something, drinking, and then I end up just doing whatever and then going to bed.
You're probably ready to relax after, I mean, I'm sure a big race like that too,
Yeah.
just to decompress and just kind of be yourself and not have to worry about a whole lot. And especially, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm always fascinated to see kind of what goes on at the end of these races. And it's kind of interesting to see that, one of them does like almost a green jacket, like you mentioned. So is it something that you get to take with you and you can wear anytime? Or like, how does that work?
Yeah, the green jacket, that one's actually it's in my room or up on my wall actually. And yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's probably my biggest win I won. Just lone win I got. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's exciting. It's definitely something you want to always remember, not only because when you won it and you were there, but it's great they had those memories probably for motivation too, to see, okay, I accomplished this, now let's get ready for that next race and keep accomplishing more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now growing up in Lapeer and making a name for yourself on a national racing stages, how has your hometown influenced your racing career? And how do you give back to the community that supported you early in your passion?
Yeah, I mean, Lapierre's always been it's been my home my whole life. I always came back here and went to school here and everything. So always just or I know a lot of people and people know me and the community's been great, really supportive and everybody that knows I race or if I see them in public, they're always really supportive and really nice and say good things. And I'm always back to or give back with family literacy here in Lapeer. A good tutoring group and a great fundraising group. I tutor there on Tuesdays, and just it's a fun time. I went there when I was younger as a student myself, and it's just cool to give back now. And with the Steel Patriots as well, they're a biker group. They do a lot of fundraising and a lot of just good things for the community. And yeah, it's just Lapierre's just always been home, and just happy to give back.
Yeah, which is great. I think that is what's, I think, very impressive about you is that you care about your community that you're living in, but there's so much support that came for you. And I think, I'm sure still continues today, that it's exciting for those younger individuals that are involved in the quarter midget racing that you mentioned that you started in. That's probably you're probably a good mentor for them to watch and to see how you've grown and that it can be done, locally. I think that's also something I think is important for a lot of people is to see that. And I'm sure when people see your car, I'm sure there's a lot of younger kids, if you're like my son, that are just in awe of seeing, a race car and maybe getting a chance to talk to the driver, which I feel like that's probably something that you probably enjoy in your community too, is that people can just approach you and talk to you about it. And you're excited to share about what you're experiencing and different things that you've done and just say, hey, I'm from Lapeer and I'm proud to be from there.
Mm. Yeah, and like what you said about the kids and being in awe, I don't know. I love it when a kid comes up and does that, or like when they get in it, or sometimes put a kid in the car or something, and they're all just really excited because that was me like 15 years ago. I was that guy. I was that kid. Just really excited to see the race cars. And racing, not everyone really likes racing, so it's really cool. Or I try to help our youth or get the youth into the racing as much as we can.
Yeah. So now this is a different topic. Thinking about that, was there someone as you were growing up, especially getting started so young, that you really looked up to and were able to follow their career? Some that's kind of that extra little motivation or just kind of that role model to watch their career.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fan when I was a kid was Kyle Busch. He's a good hit, one of the best NASCAR drivers. I don't ever since I was a kid, he was sponsored by M&M's, and I don't remember this, but my family always says when I was in the stands, I'd always scream, "Go M&M's!" And
I
yeah, I'd say Kyle's always been like my biggest guy I looked up to or been a fan and kind of followed in his footsteps in a way. But also another one I really like now is Kyle Larson. He came from the dirt and just came up a different way than a lot of people, and that's just really cool to see how he did it and what he is doing because he's been winning a lot and doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I think that's interesting for a lot of people to think about. I'm sure race fans are aware of backgrounds, but some of us that aren't, and we're still learning, just to kind of hear that when you see these guys on TV for like the NASCAR races, that they did have beginnings just like yours. Like you mentioned, racing on the dirt. They had to, earn their keep and earn the respect of others and make their way up through the ranks. And I think that's interesting to hear that it happens everywhere in every kind of sporting industry. So I think that's, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's kind of, it's interesting to see ones that you like to base your career on and get motivated. But I'm sure you are doing that for that younger generation in your area too. Um, so Chase, with championships in different divisions, and you have a bright future ahead of you, what are your goals for the current season, and how are you preparing for your next steps in your racing career?
Yeah, our goal this year is to cap off and go back to back in the Jegs CRA All Stars Tour. We won it last year and we're gonna run it again this year full time. So our goal is to hopefully go back to back in that, and then We are also in the Kawiki driver development program, and there's 7 of us drivers competing for the title, the Kawiki driver development title, and that's another huge thing that could help my career. So I'd say that's probably our ultimate goal this year is to win the Kawiki deal. And then, yeah, just win races and try to just do as I can't speak, do good and just try to improve and, yeah, try to get our name out there.
Yeah. So now, Chase, for anyone that is listening to this episode who would like to follow what's going on in your season and follow kind of your interesting steps that you're going through, what's the best way for someone to find you on social media?
Yeah, our biggest thing is Facebook, Chase Burner Motorsports. We always post on there a lot, and now Instagram and X, we're really trying to get that back up. We're posting on that just as much. And then we also have I can't think of the last one, but yeah. Oh, we have a website, chaseburner.com. We have a website too. That kind of shows our schedule and all of our sponsors and all the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah. Good, Chase. I really appreciate you coming on the Community Collective podcast today. I know it's been very interesting for me to learn more about the racing industry and just see what steps you've taken through your career starting at 6 years old and, getting your wins and going between asphalt and dirt and just kind of what motivates you and gets you excited about being out there in the community. So, Chase, I really do appreciate you coming on today and talking with us, and we definitely wish you luck this season. We know you're growing in popularity, you're getting up there, and so someday we'll be able to say, hey, Chase Burda came on our podcast, years ago when you're out there on the getting too famous for us sometimes, right?
Maybe. We hope we're getting there, but no, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and it was fun.
Chase, you have a great afternoon, and for anyone who's interested, be sure to find Chase Burda on social media. Check out his website, follow his season that's going on. And Chase, thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you luck this season.
Thank you. Thank you.